Now to be joined by the team boss, Andrea Sella, who's come down to join us and just finishing an ice cream. Sorry to interrupt that.
No problem.
You deserve it. I mean, we were just listening to your drivers then call it stressful, intense, but fun. How was it for you?
Well, it was intense racing, but that's what we are here for, race. And it was open race today. And here in Austria is a special track in which when you get the DRS, you stay hooked to the car ahead, and this is what happened in the first stint, because the pace between Lando and Oscar was very similar. So they stayed together, and at the end of the stint, Oscar actually had a couple of chances. There was also another one in the middle of the stint. But we are very happy, very proud of how they handled the situation. We needed to give Oscar a bit of advice in terms of the maneuver in corner 4, which he actually acknowledged, and I'm once again proud of him for how he said straight after the checkered flag that he was sorry for that maneuver. He went a little too far. It's not easy. It's Formula One, he's racing hard, but it's a good day.
It made for great viewing, didn't it?
I have to say, all's well that ends well, right? And it did end very well. It couldn't have been better for you guys today. I mean, maximum points on the board. And I have to say, on behalf of the fans and on behalf of us, thank you for letting them race, because that first stint was sensational. And
within a fortnight to come back and put it 1-2 is pretty impressive stuff.
Well, but the Canada episode is an episode of a misjudgment. Like Lando misjudged the closing speed, he misjudged the racing line. Actually, there was a derating of the MGK going on Oscar's car, so the closing speed was even faster than Lando could anticipate. So it was just an unfortunate episode of judging the distance to the car ahead, but none of the two wanted to show the muscles. That was the important thing. And straight after, Lando handled the situation. He raised his hand, he apologized to the team, he took responsibility. That's what we want. He apologized immediately to Oscar. And from there we started a process which was based on good conversations and making sure that we came out with even more united and stronger as a team. That's the way you grow. That's the way you grow. Not all things will be good, not all things will be pleasant, but even from the unpleasant events you need to find an opportunity to grow and to go ahead even more united. And that's what happened after Canada.
I have to say, we really did feel as though Lando came into this weekend really in positive spirits, like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. But I want to talk about Oscar for a second. He started third. He had a great start. Obviously, it helped a little bit that Lando was blocking Charles on the inside. He managed to go around the outside. Almost had a run on Lando. Actually, he could have taken the lead already in that first lap. But then, you know, he made that mistake in turn 4, locked up the wheels, and then you guys had a discussion between him and his engineer about whether he would pit immediately or if he would wait, stay out. And although he did have a bit of a flat spot, the data was showing that that wasn't costing him too much. In hindsight, should you have pitted him earlier to keep the battle between them going, or was it just a relief to build a bit of a buffer between the two of them?
Well, that's a valid question. It's a valid question because it's part of the options that we had available. We will look at this option with a little bit of hindsight, and we will learn for the future. At this track, we have to say that there's an advantage in staying out a bit, building some of the so-called tire delta. But I have to say, Lando in the second seat with the hard tires, he was quite fast. So this might have somehow negated the benefit to Oscar of having stayed out for a few laps. So it's in the subtleties. We will review and we will learn what was the right thing to do. But overall, I think good race also from a strategic execution from the pit wall with the support coming from the factory. So very proud, very happy with the team.
Yeah, I mean, a huge day for the team. 417 points now, 207 ahead of Ferrari. I mean, that's pretty epic. Looking forward to the British Grand Prix. Your home race, the team's home race. How are you feeling about it?
Well, you know, while you were making your questions, I was feeling that I do have to thank all the men and women at McLaren, because here not only they have been able to make a very fast car for the 2025 season, but we've been able to upgrade this car. And here we had new front wings, new front suspension, new front brake pads. It's been quite a lot of work. So thank you to the team. I hope everyone is enjoying this moment together with our fans, and we look forward, as you say, to the British Grand Prix that is coming soon. So we just pack up and we will be ready again.
Ice creams for everyone, I think.
Yeah,
You know?
I think
As
so.
I
I
go-
tell you what, something about
I'm gonna
Austria.
finish my ice cream now, or maybe another one because
So,
in
yeah,
the
I think
meantime
you
we'll have
deserve
melted.
Yeah,
it.
your ice
Something
cream's
about
gone now.
Austria, though, when you brought the upgrades here in 2023, that was really the start of something special.
Turning
Yeah,
points.
yeah. You touch a very important point. This was one crucial point of discussion internally. This is the place where 2 years ago, in 2023, pretty much the new trajectory of McLaren started. And from then we have upgraded the car constantly. And if I took the opportunity to thank the team for the upgrade we took here, then let me say even a bigger thank you for what the team have been able to do in these 2.5 years in which we have turned the things around, and we have taken McLaren to lead both championships in 2025. So hopefully we are able to take this to the end of the season.
Fantastic. Well done. You must
Big
take much of the
Thank you very
credit
much.
too. Thank you very much
Thanks.
for your time, and well
Thank you.
done today. Now, Kareem, what was your take on the way McLaren went racing today?
I loved it. I love the fact that they let the drivers race, and they didn't say to Oscar, no more hold position. They said, that was a bit marginal, just don't do that again, which I think is fair enough. I loved it, and the first stop, offset, kind of took the fizz out of it, which was slightly disappointing because the opening part was great. Someone who had a wonderful day. Well
Hello,
done.
Liam.
Thank you.
How are you?
good.
Congratulations. Wow, career best finish there. Fantastic stuff. Just tell us about your emotions right now.
It's I don't know. It's very, very cool. I'm a bit lost, to be honest. It's been a very, very tough race, especially after lap 1. I don't even know how I survived it, to be honest. I thought when I saw Kimi coming, I was like, okay, this is over. But somehow we got out of it. And then, yeah, the speed was good. We made the one-stop work, which was the key today for us. With today's temperatures, I wasn't sure about it, but the team knew, so very, very happy.
Just to pick up on that one stop, Liam, how difficult was that? You're one of only 2 drivers, you and Alonso, to make that one stop work. Everyone else sticking to the 2-stop. It sounds like that was always the plan going into it, but how difficult was it to get that to the finish?
It was tough, especially it's always Fernando who's behind, and I think he was within DRS for 71 laps today. So
He knows your rear wing pretty well.
yeah, I know, and you try not to make a mistake. And I thought he was quicker, but I just spoke to him, and he thought I was quicker, and he was using me to basically keep DRS. So it's one of those things. We had a good car in the places where it needed to be, especially in the high speed before the DRS zones. Yeah, and then it's just trying not to slip the tire, trying not to make mistakes, because it's, especially when it's hot like this today, it's very, very small details.
Can I just ask you, I was saying to Natalie yesterday on the stage here, I feel like the emotional roller coaster and the mental roller coaster you've been on since Zandvoort 2023 is quite something. There's a book in it one day, isn't there?
Yeah.
How are you feeling now that you finally had a nice, clean weekend, good quality, good race, like it's all lined up? Are you feeling relief? Are you feeling happy? Just, can you try and summarize your feelings right now?
Yeah, it's been a very tough year. It's been very emotional and very, very tough to just secure a result. So yeah, to do that today is very, very cool. It's obviously one good weekend, but I feel like the speed's been really, really good recently. In practice at the last few races, I felt really good, and then it hasn't converted in quali. So it was nice to do that yesterday, but in the back of my mind, I obviously knew that today was the important one. And for us, we now need to just keep this momentum going forward.
I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position, but when you see where Yuki finished today, everyone in that second Red Bull seat, does it in a way alleviate some of your stress to say, look, hang on a minute, this is about the car, not the driver?
Potentially, yes. At the same time, I had 2 races. I honestly didn't get to grips with it at all in that time. So it's something that's I won't know. But for sure, they were a very tough couple of weekends. But yeah, at the moment, honestly, I'm just very, very focused on converting these weekends. And it's nice to have this one, but we have a long season ahead, and it's a great result, but it's only the second points race this season, and that's not enough. So we need to keep doing this going forward.
You're happier where you are, though, aren't you? Like, it feels like it's an easier car to drive.
That's a tough question, though, isn't it?
But
it feels like a demotion, and yet you're driving better.
Yeah, and it feels like the car suits a wider range of drivers, and the results are coming. So, this weekend at least it came, but collectively, it's there.
It's a really hard question because I worked, my whole career, as we all do, for me to get to Red Bull Racing, and so yeah, obviously it was a tough start to the season, and I'm comfortable in this car right now, and especially this weekend. We've been working, especially outside of the garage. I'm super proud of the guys and girls because it's been a lot of work to help me, especially get comfortable in this car, and it's felt good recently, especially this weekend. But I do feel good, but it's very hard to answer that question.
Well, congratulations today, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
So
Thank
Liam
you.
Lawson there.
Sorry to see you here. You've got so many fans here today. You had the race in front of you. I know Kimi came and apologised. It looked like you had some kind words for him, but how frustrating has this afternoon been for you?
I was just unlucky, like yesterday in qualifying, but overall, we didn't really have that great pace anyway this weekend. So a lot of learnings for us, how we hopefully can do better next weekend. But yeah, that's of course not an ideal result today.
Yeah, listen, McLarens do look very strong. They brought an upgrade here. You see Yuki struggling to get out of Q1 at the moment. We see what you're doing with the car. How do you assess what you can achieve in the remaining part of this year? How tough a task is it to fight them?
I mean, we try to do our best always. My mentality doesn't change. We have won a lot in the past. Sometimes you have to accept that you are not winning, and we just try to do the best we can.
Yeah, you've said the championship, it's not something we should talk about with this DNF and the points you've lost.
Yeah, hopefully then people will
it?
not mention it too much anymore. So.
Sorry, Max.
No worries.
Thanks, Anne. Yeah, I think actually, all things considered, Max Verstappen was phlegmatic about that. I mean, he seemed actually pretty relaxed and forgiving of Antonelli, but I just can't help but feeling so sad for his army of fans who came out today to finish on lap 1 at that stage. Was just heartbreaking, wasn't it?
He didn't even get to go past their grandstand at turn 6. Yeah, real shame for him. Completely in the wrong place at the wrong time. Antonelli could have run at the back of Lawson straight away, tried to go right, as Ant showed, and ended up hitting Max. But the thing I was thinking about is actually it comes back to 2 seconds yesterday. 2 seconds was the difference between the yellow flag being pulled in and Max finishing that lap in qualifying and starting 7th. Because if the yellow flag had clear, and actually I was talking to Simon Rennie, his race engineer, saying actually it wasn't so much on the data, the track was clear, so they didn't tell me. But Marshall was holding a physical flag, which is a warning, and it cleared 2 seconds later. And if that had cleared away, Max would have probably qualified 3rd or 4th, wouldn't have been in that position, and it would have been a different day. But 2 seconds, shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because there's a certain irony to the fact that he nearly took Lawson out, but ultimately took out Max Verstappen, which was, even more crushing for Red Bull at their home race. But as Karun says, you qualify high, you miss that midfield chaos.
Yeah, and that's been the way for many, many years. When I was working as a midfield team, you knew that the further back you qualified, the more risky turn 1, the more risky lap 1 was always going to be. And that's forever been the case in F1. You're likely to be caught up in something, if not directly, like unfortunately Max was, but trying to avoid it on the way past. There was many drivers, Hadjar was one, I think, and trying to avoid that accident actually dropped several positions back. So it's really unfortunate. That's racing. His reaction, like you say, getting out of the car, I'm sure he was disappointed. He was fighting to go forward. He wanted to go forward in this race, not out at turn 3. Would his reaction been different if it was someone else that he's seen when he got to that edge of turn 3? Potentially. But great sportsmanship from him. He had to listen to what Antonelli had to say, and they walked away. And I'm sure it'll be reviewed after. Let's see if anything comes of that. Disappointing day for Max. Disappointing day for Red Bull.
Really tough day for Red Bull, and it actually ends a 31 race point streak for Max Verstappen. Okay, a stronger day for Ferrari. Let's hear from both of their drivers now, starting with Charles Leclerc.
Charles, congratulations. It's another podium for you. You're pushing and taking as much as you can from this season. Is it a weekend of progress for Ferrari despite the gap that still exists to McLaren?
Yeah, we are working in the right direction. I think we've brought some upgrades this weekend, which helped us to close a little bit the gap. The gap is still significant, unfortunately, and we've got to push in order to bring as many upgrades as possible, as soon as possible, in order to close that gap. But it's been a positive weekend overall, I think. So on that, I'm happy that we've maximized our potential. Now we've got to have a better potential.
We heard about the lifting and coasting, which we know is a thing you're having to do. Is it only going to be a temporary problem? Is there something coming that will stop you having to do that and develop your race pace in that sense?
I really hope so. Today was very tough for that. I had to do a lot of management, especially on the first stint, and it was not fitting my driving style, it was not fitting the balance that I had, and I was really struggling on that first stint and some part of the second stint as well. So yeah, but it's the way we've got to run at the moment.
Just finally, listen, it looks like the constructors will go to McLaren and a McLaren driver will win the Drivers' Championship. How important is it for Ferrari to get in the mix for wins but by the end of this season? 2026 will be the priority, but must the team conjure a few wins by the end of the year?
I mean, it's always important, I think, just for the people back in Manuel, for the people at the track, for us drivers as well, to know that we can turn the situation around and be competitive again is very important for everyone. So it will be really nice. However, this season ends, as you said, I think it's going to be very unlikely to now turn the situation around at a point where we can win the constructors, because the point difference is very significant, and I don't see why McLaren will start doing a really bad job from now on. But yeah, we need to keep our head down, keep working very hard, and whatever we can still learn this season, we need to learn it.
Well done, Sean.
Thank you.
Lewis, I saw you looking at the timing screens at the end of the Grand Prix today. How were you sort of computing the day? I mean, the big gap to McLaren and everyone else. You seeing the progress from a Ferrari perspective?
Yeah, mega progress for us as a team. So, we have to say a huge thank you to the guys again at the factory for bringing the upgrade this weekend. It didn't seem much on paper. It was really a small step, but perhaps it had a bigger influence on our performance. So for us to be the second fastest team this weekend, we're not a minute down from the McLarens, which is positive, and to back some really strong points. I'm definitely happy with it, for sure. I think from my side, struggling with the balance in the race, just struggling to hold on to that, the pace, and lost a little bit too much ground, but it's something I need to work on. I have a lot of understeer in the low speed and a lot of oversteer in the high speed, so it's like a very hard balance to run through a race.
You're holding out for hopefully a safety car. Was that your thinking in the seconds to maybe get you that first podium?
Just to get a bit, just to get me a little bit closer, yeah, and just try to see if we can offset. But I knew if we stopped at the same sort of time, the gap would be as it was, and but I'll just keep working at it. I feel like I made progress this weekend. It's less than a tenth of Charles in qualifying, and we found a problem through qualifying with the brakes, so that's where I lost a tenth, so that's a positive, and I just got to find some pace for the race, but just definitely improving.
Just briefly, I know Fred today, we're not going to say why, personal reasons he's not here, but a good weekend for him. Good to see him. He'll be pleased with how it's gone this weekend, I'm sure.
I definitely think, for sure. I think everyone in the team will be happier. I think definitely the guys back at the factory can be proud of the work they've done, and I think everyone here has definitely been a lot calmer and more methodical this weekend. Definitely a better output from the team, so I'm really proud to see that.
Yeah, and Karun, I mean, it's interesting looking at Ferrari's race. It is, as Ant says, good to see them smiling. Progress has been made with these upgrades, but ultimately they didn't have an answer to McLaren's pace today. They never expected to, though, did they?
Third and fourth is a very decent day for them, isn't it? If you look at their season so far, they will happily take the points that comes with being in those positions. 27 points is a good haul for them on a day where Red Bull have had a woeful day and Mercedes only got one car scoring. So, I think it's a decent day. I don't know how happy you can ever be if you finish one pit stop behind the race winner, which is pretty much where Leclerc was. It's just under 20 seconds. So, decent day.
What do you think, Bernie? I mean, ultimately, Ferrari have moved up to second in the championship, albeit just 1 point ahead of Mercedes now.
Well, every point counts.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you can't take that away. You know, it'll make a very big difference at the end of the season, the points in this middle bit where they're fit to do it. Interesting, they say second fastest team. We didn't see what Verstappen could do, so we don't know if it's second or third fastest team at this stage. And they will never know. You know, that's going to be an unknown. Hamilton would have had to do 44 laps on that hard tyre in the end. He was pushing to stay out. We don't know if that one stop could have been possible for him, or if that could have allowed him to finish ahead of Leclerc. I think it would have been really, really tight. It's quite a long stint, 6 laps longer than anyone else would have done on the hard. So Ferrari managed it well. They did their optimum race. They stuck to their pit stops. They kept everything nice and tidy. So they will take confidence from that for sure.
Maybe we should just quickly touch on the lift and coast thing that Craig was talking about. You know, some of it could be from the plank wear. They've had plank wear issues we've seen in China and in Austin last year. So what happens is when you come off the throttle pedal and you slow down, effectively the downforce is not pushing the car into the ground as much, and it picks up. So it wears out the skid planks below the car as much. Now, Anthony was showing on the Skypad earlier with the McLaren, they were the only 2 cars who were seemingly pushing the entire race, and the cars were burying the ground, plank dust coming off on the curbs. And now, while we're chatting and the paddock's clearing out, the FIA will be measuring certain cars that they select, and maybe there were some concerns from Ferrari. It's a tough drive for brakes and fuel as well, but there could be a bit of that.
And potentially concern for McLaren as well?
Yeah, it will be. Like we said to Corinne, they were definite outliers in who was pushing during that race. I heard Ferrari and Mercedes both managing significantly, and we don't know exactly what for, but this is a track that does hurt you if you push all the time on those curbs.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Good day for Gabriel Bortoleto.
Congratulations, you're driver of the day. We saw Fernando.
Am I driver of the day?
I believe so, yes. Driver of the day,
nice.
yes. And we saw Fernando congratulate you at the end. It's a special moment, first points for you. What are your emotions right now?
Wow, so many, you know. I'm glad to be in the points for the first time. Had an amazing fight with Fernando at the end. You know, I think it couldn't be better to get my first points fighting with him. Unfortunately, didn't manage to overtake him, but was very close.
Yeah, and it's come off the back of an excellent overall weekend. Have things sort of clicked for you, do you sense, since you've come here? I mean, I know you've been always good on this track, but I mean...
Yeah, I would say it's just getting a bit more experience, you know. It's a natural process of Formula One. Well, at least for myself, I've been always like this, you know. I jump in a new series. You know, F3 for me has been dominating from the beginning, but F2 I had a tough start of season, and I've been growing up like a lot during the season, and I managed to win. And in F1, I feel like I'm doing this more or less the same as in F2, and growing through the season, learning a lot of things. And obviously, there's so much things to still improve from my side, and I feel like there is a long journey ahead of me.
Just finally, we weren't so long ago, we were talking about Sauber as a team in a bit of trouble. You seem to have real momentum now. It's a double points finish. How good can the second half of this season be?
I think hopefully we can be fighting for example, what we have been fighting today. You know, it's been great, and I feel like if the team keeps doing the job they have been doing this weekend, we can achieve big things.
Well done.
Thank
Great
you.
job. Thank you. Well, Fernando, it's nice to see you congratulating Gabriel on his first points. Well, you do that with new young drivers, a special moment for him. Did you enjoy the little battle you had out on track today?
Yeah, I know how important it was for him, what this point means to him. You know, I think he has been outstanding this season, and for one reason or another, Hülkenberg was always scoring the points on Sunday, and you know, he felt a little bit unfair sometimes, you know, that he cannot, you know, see his name with points already with the performance that he was achieving. So, you know, I'm happy for him that he unlocked this situation now, and he can have fun, and yeah, hopefully the first of many in the points. And at the end, yeah, he was definitely faster than me, but I was extremely lucky with Lando coming. You know, Lando came in the right moment. We had the blue flags, so Gabriel has to let Lando go. And then because Lando overtook us, we saw the checkered flag. It was not one lap left. It was just already the final lap of the race. So all in all, it was a perfect combo for me.
I love those team radios. You just get such a natural reaction to what's just happened. And what a day for Sauber. Their first double points finish since Qatar in 2023. What does it come down to, do you think? We heard Jonathan Wheatley there. How much of an influence has he had, for example?
He has had an influence, and I think there's the whole team. They're just learning that they need to operate at a higher level than they have been doing in recent times. So if you speak with Jonathan or with some of the other people who've gone there from other teams, people like Lee Stevenson, Inaki Rueda has gone for Ferrari, people like that, they all realize that there's lots of elements from the top teams, sort of low-hanging fruit, which if you just tidy it up, even with what the package they've got, you can execute a more efficient race, a more efficient performance. And that's what they're doing. At this stage, this isn't about necessarily reinventing the wheel. They're focusing on 2026 in terms of the big changes. But just looking at the low-hanging fruit, operationally, strategically, just getting out any operational inefficiencies through the way they execute a weekend, getting the communication right between the pit wall and the drivers and back to Hinwil and things like that, getting the structures in place. And all of a sudden, the results are there. Like, the baseline car is clearly not that bad.
And when we know the talent's there in terms of the drivers, and we were talking to Gabriel yesterday, weren't we, saying, it must have been frustrating that he hasn't had the opportunity to show his talent yet. We know it's there, winner of F2. Is this going to be a turning point for him, do you believe?
Yeah, it's going to be definitely a big confidence boost to show that he can get the points. He can fight with those people, fighting with someone like Alonso and coming off okay out of it. It's, definitely big confidence. But to pick up on Corinne's point, nothing shows a turnaround more than their pit stops. The beginning of last year, there was barely a pit stop happening. There were massively long pit stops. They worked on every element, try and get it better. Those midfield, back of the field teams, every point is so crucial, so hard to come by. And you need to be there when some of the big players fall out. We had 4 people retire today or not start the race. You need to be in those positions to pick up the points when it matters. And that's what they were able to do today, able to get those little bits together, get qualifying right yesterday. It started there and then go forward.
Well, Hulkenberg started the back today, didn't he? So, it's a fantastic...
Really
and that's what I'm saying. The underlying car performance can't be that bad because they were able to come through, but it's about executing it every single time.
Maybe, just maybe, he'll get his first podium in Formula One.
Never know.
It is crazy when you think Hulkenberg hasn't done that just yet. Right, we're hearing that Kimi Antonelli has got a 3-place grid penalty for that collision on lap 1 with Max Verstappen. Was that...
Made a mistake, put his hands up, admitted fault. So, no brainer, I think, for the stewards.
OK, we can hear now from our race winner, Lando Norris, is with Naomi.
Lando, we're going to deliver you to the press conference, hopefully, so we're going to pick up our pace a little bit to make sure you're not late.
Thank you.
But first and foremost, massive congratulations. This is your 7th career victory. Just tell me how you're feeling in this moment.
Satisfied. Was a perfect weekend from my side. FP2, FP3, qualies race was I couldn't ask for much more. This weekend. So I'm pleased. I did everything I wanted to do. I set out to achieve this weekend. Try and make up a little bit for last one, and maximum points, all of this stuff. It was a tough race, though. It was enjoyable. It was a nice fight with Oscar, so I enjoyed it a lot.
I have to say, you sat out of FP1, come into FP2, and you basically dominated the rest of the weekend. It feels as if you've come into this weekend really with a weight lifted off your shoulders. You really seem to be very comfortable this weekend. Where's that coming from?
Just a lot of work. On myself, with my team, with my McLaren side, for my personal side, to get and to achieve something like this weekend. It definitely does not come easy. It doesn't come by me just rocking up and having a bit of fun. So,
of course.
A lot of work that goes into all of it. To be honest, I might give Alex my FP1 seat every time because it seems to. Maybe he set up the car nicely for me this weekend, but it was. I'm relaxed, but I'm so focused. I still have to work hard because it's they're not coming easy. That's for sure.
Now, I have to say, I don't know if you know the statistic, but the last McLaren driver to win around here was in 2001, and it was David Coulthard. So it felt today like either way it would have been one of you two, but that first stint was quite stressful, at least from where we were sitting. How was it from your seat?
The same. It was stressful. It was tough. We had a great fight between both of us.
We've got to navigate these turnstiles quickly.
Through, yeah. Nice.
Well done. That's how you do it.
Credits to the cameraman right here. This is
credits. This
impressive.
is Lee. He's a very impressive cameraman.
No, this is impressive.
But take us into that first stint. I mean,
I was in a very difficult position. Oscar had DRS around here is like a 7/10 or so. That gives him just a little bit more freedom to do things. And the biggest thing, which you don't see on the outside, is I just struggled to get the battery up.
which means I couldn't defend when I needed to. I didn't have the deployment in the right places, which just always left me vulnerable, and I was just a position I couldn't get out of. So it was tricky, and as soon as I did my first pit stop, I could get the battery back up. I could get into a happier position. So I was comfortable from that point onwards, and a bit more relaxed. But the first 20 laps, they were tough. Oscar was pushing me, and he got past me a couple of points, and I got him back straight away. So I just did everything I needed to do, and it was a good race.
Talking about when you got straight back past him, I mean, he came past you turn 3, and then you got him back before turn 4. Was there a little bit of your rehearsal from last year with Max, of all that back and forth that you knew you needed to make sure to get the DRS on him on the exit of turn 3 there?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I had a really bad exit out of turn 1, so I was like... just accepting, okay, he's got me here, and how can I already put him into a vulnerable position for me to get back ahead into turn 4? Sure. So a bit. I'm certain last year helped, and I've done this a little bit before last year here, so I definitely did my homework. I definitely been through it, and I think that definitely put me into a better position. So yes, this was stuff that I worked on and did my homework, and it paid off.
Okay, final word before we drop you off here.
Thank you.
Silverstone next week, your home Grand Prix. How are you feeling about it?
Very good. I kind of want to go there now, but I also want to go to sleep for 24 hours. So
I get that.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited. It's the best race of the year. I got my own grandstand and everything. I'm very excited. So
okay,
see you there.
Before you sleep, go to your press conference. Well done. Thank you.
Well, someone else who deserves to lie down is Lee Cooker-Morgan, our cameraman there. What skills, unbelievable from him, a former Marine, and probably, there he is, probably the toughest person you're ever likely to meet. Go on, give us a smile, Lee, give us a smile.
Legend.
Great stuff. Now, all that hard work is clearly paying off for Lando. It feels like a very calm, mature approach. It feels like the team has really rallied behind him, and he's clearly asking for help and getting it.
Yeah, I think, he's very aware, and you heard him even during the race, of when he needs help and needs a bit of support. But ultimately, he's got to do the job. And this weekend, he did the job. And I think that's the most important thing. He'll carry that confidence into next weekend. I think Oscar will be pretty pleased with how his race went. He was a tenth or two behind until the race. But the race, I thought he was a match. I thought he was absolutely an equal for Lando. And that means for all of us, neutrals, we get to the British Grand Prix, 2 McLarens on equal form.
Wow. I can't wait for next weekend. Not long to go.
Silverstone's always a brilliant race as well. So I think there's going to be a lot to watch out for. How do we know that the order is going to mix up? I think the 2 McLarens are going to be really interesting to watch as well.
You're my weather girl. What's the weather going to do? So
there's
it's like a microclimate.
There's a lot of rumours in the paddock of rain, but when I looked at it, it looks pretty dry to me. So I think you're okay. Maybe Thursday rain.
I will take your word for it. Thank you very much, Karun and Bernie, and of course to Naomi and the rest of the crew. We will see you at Silverstone in just a few days' time because we've got a very special F1 show on Thursday. Until then, bye for now.